Mhm.
Zoom recording. There we go. Confirmation of recording started. I wanted to give you kind of a heads up that after this seminar is done or webinar is done, you will get a recorded version of this event automatically. So probably about takes about 2 to 3 hours for the recording to be processed by the Zoom, and uh, you should receive a link to download that. If you do not receive a link by tomorrow, please feel free to contact me. My email address, I'll share it with you soon. So you can send it to something like info@voicebootcamp.com, and I'll be glad to send you that information. So, what is this webinar? First of all, my name is Faisal Khan. I am the CEO and founder of VoiceBootcamp.com, a small organization out of Toronto, Canada, where we specialize in things like Cisco and AWS training. So, for those of you guys who are a bit curious, our website is www.voicebootcamp.com. Here you'll find information about what we do and some of the free demos videos that you can download for your studying Cisco product. We teach CCNP Cisco courses from CCNP collaboration to all the way to CCIE, but my major focus is actually on things like meetings, Cisco meeting server, WebEx, Cisco contact center. I specialize heavily on Cisco contact center solutions, both scripting as well as deployment perspective. And recently we started with Amazon AWS. So at the end of this seminar, I will share you a link with a new another webinar that is that's being done on Saturday. So some of you guys may not have been registered for that. So if you feel that that webinar is useful to you, so feel free to join that. That webinar is going to be about how to build a call center in Amazon Connect. So similar to voice, but different product. So that is one of the things that is coming up. Feel free to take a look at it. I'm just going to quickly adjust my mouse so that we can draw things on the board. All right. So how many people who are joining in work on Cisco or specialize on Cisco collaboration here? Like, why are you here? I mean, you must be working with Cisco right now or planning to work with Cisco, or you just want to see what it is, or you just want to see me, which is okay. Not bad. I don't look that bad. All right. So what we're going to talk about before we move on. Okay, there we go. We got a couple of Cisco collaboration engineers. Before I move on, you guys are able to hear me properly and see the desktop. I'm not concerned about seeing me, but more concerned about the desktop. Please feel free to let me know if there's any problem. All right, good. So this particular seminar is about what kind of conference solutions that Cisco currently has in Cisco collaboration application. And I'm going to give you the overview about that. I'm going to show you some lab, how to achieve those tasks that we are talking about. But before we do that, we need to have a little bit of a background image in terms of, sorry about that, in terms of what is conferencing. Now, conference in Cisco collaboration is part of what we call Cisco Media Services. So in Cisco Media Services, we are going to focus on things like rich media conferencing, media termination point, annunciation, transcoding, music on hold, stuff like that. Now, again, welcome Abu from Bangladesh. Like I said, we're not going to cover outside the conference here, but this is just to give you a heads up right there. All right, now media resources in Cisco Unified Communication Manager is part of, conference is part of this, okay? Now media resource, which is basically performing media processing. Now what do we talk about media? We're talking about anything to do with audio and video part of it, not signaling, not ringing, but anything to do with the audio part of it, or known as the RTP. So media resource, it process media functions, and it basically takes a media stream from one end and distribute the media stream to one or more participants. Now, media services in Call Manager is provided using product called services called Cisco IP Voice Media Streaming app. Now, you may probably hear me keep saying about Call Manager, although the current term for that is Cisco Unified Communication Manager, or CUCM. But I'm an old goose. I started my Call Manager experience on version 2.48. So those days it used to be known as not Cisco, but it used to be known as Celsius Call Manager. Um, the Celsius was the company that created Call Manager. Cisco bought it, acquired it. So that's why they call it Cisco Call Manager later on, and that's when I got involved with that back in 2004. Now, um, IP voice media streaming is a service in Call Manager that you can activate and deactivate. If you activate that service, what happens is it becomes media resource server. Now, if you deactivate the service, that server cannot be acting as any sort of media resources. Now, media resource, which is used to provide conferencing, video conferencing, audio conferencing, transcoding, uh, media termination point, can be achieved from two different type of resources. You got the software resource and you got the hardware resources. Software resource is controlled by the call manager server itself. So which is basically this application. And predominantly it only supports G.711 codec. Whereas for companies that want to leverage multiple different type of codec or more sophisticated, services, they can purchase hardware resources that can do exactly the same. Now, certain limitation does exist, what can be achieved from software versus what can be achieved from hardware. So that's something that, as you study the Cisco collaboration, or if you're studying for CCNP or CCIE, you will learn those functionality. So media resource as a term provided all these services: rich media conference bridge, transcoder, media termination point, or known as MTP, announcer, music on hold, and trusted relay point. Now, although this seminar or webinar is about the conference bridge, but in some conference bridge, you may need transcoder. For example, let's say I joined to the conference using G.711, but Mohsin wants to join the conference from using G.729. If that is the case, then what we need the transcoder to do the translation about that. If you are joining in over a SIP trunk from, let's say, Congo, and you are joining into the conference, then there is a possibility of chances that there could be interoperability issue between the SIP trunk in Congo and the call manager, let's say in Toronto, Canada. If there is any sort of interoperability issue, then you would need media termination point, or MTP. So as you can see, even though those are two different services, they may be required for the conference to work. So if you are building a solution for your customer using for conference services, you may need to work with transcoder as well as MTP. Now, other stuff like announcer, music on hold, they're not that important for the conferencing, but obviously, something that will work alongside with that. Now, media resource in Call Manager deals with there's two type of traffic that we know we have in VoIP or in collaboration. You got the signaling traffic and you got the media traffic. Now, we all know that because if you call me, the first thing that's going to happen is a signaling, right? You are sending signals to my phone, and I am responding back to that. That is called signaling. Now, we achieve signaling using SCP protocol, known as Skinny, or SIP protocol, some cases H.323 and MGCP. But when it comes to media traffic is always going to be only one type of protocol, that is called the RTP. Now, RTP is if a non-secure, and if you use secure RTP, it will be SRTP. That is the two protocol that handles the media traffic. Now, why is it important for you to understand the difference? Whenever you're building a conference, let's say Mohsen and I are talking on the phone, so the media is between his phone and my phone. So we are communicating directly. But whenever any sort of media resource, now whether that media resource is the conference bridge, media termination point, or transcoder, whenever they are involved, Mohsin and I are no longer communicating directly. What's happening is, uh, let's say Mohsin and I decide to go to conference and we want to invite Gabriel into the conference. Now, what's going to happen is between the media traffic between me and Mohsin is going to break and is going to join that conference bridge. So now I will establish a media traffic with the conference bridge. Mohsin will establish a media traffic with the conference bridge. Gabriel will establish media traffic with the conference bridge. So the signaling remains between me and the call manager, Mohsin and the call manager, but the media traffic is between each of us and the conference bridge that we choose to use. Now that conference bridge could be the software or could be hardware, or it could be an external server. Don't know what that is, could be anything. So signaling is very the understanding what this type of traffic relies on is very important, because we may need to fine tune certain things to provide a better quality conference services. Audio conference. Now, up until most recently, everybody has been used to some sort of audio conference. Work, you go to a meeting, you join a conference, audio conference. Audio conference basically bridge multiple participants call into a single call. So when we establish that bridge, whatever I say, the word hello, it goes to the bridge. The bridge will then broadcast to all the people who are also part of the bridge, except back to me. So the way bridge works is that bridge takes my stream and multiplies that to output stream to all the other party except me. Of course, I will hear a little bit of echo of myself, just to make sure that I know that things are working the way it should. Now, if you look at this call flow on this diagram, you'll see that the green, the blue is your signaling, blue is your audio path, but the green are the signaling path. So whenever conference is involved, the bridge handles all the audio, call manager handles all the signaling. Transcoder is only there for codec negotiation. So it's like a translator, like I speak Bengali or Hindi and you speak English. We don't need to understand each other. So we hire Mohsen, who probably by now learns Bengali, being in our office sometime. So Mohsen can translate between me and you in order to, and that's what the transcoder really does. Because we failed to negotiate a codec, transcoder job is to bridge that particular codec. So that's what the transcoder does. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on the transcoder here, because this is a webinar for conferencing. Media termination point, on the other hand, is for interoperability issue. Things like when you have a SIP phone communicating with skinny phone or SSCP phone, there's a DTMF problem usually happens. And that DTMF is due to the nature of skinny being out of band and nature of SIP being in band DTMF signaling. So you need some sort of interoperability issue for that. So media termination point is another feature, part of media resources. Now, audio and video conference, this is what we're talking about today. This is about establishing an online meeting so that everybody can communicate and everybody can see each other, just like the way you and I are doing today. So audio and video conferencing is now going to be one of the most demanding thing for organization because of COVID-19. And as you know, because of the COVID-19, people are now working from home. There are probably a lot of companies are being closed down or intentionally closing their office because they want to save money. So they go, you know what, why don't we all work from home? Because COVID-19 has taught us how to function properly, even without being in office. Well, to a certain degree. So a lot of people are getting used to that. Students are getting used to that. So there's a high demand for people like us who are specialized in audio and video conferencing to be able to provide that service. Not only provide that service, but also to integrate that whatever the services that we're using within our various business application. So that, if you are preparing for CCNP collaboration or CCIE collaboration, for example, certification, do focus on conferencing as a career path, not a certification path, but as a career path, because there will be a lot of demand for that. So soft conferencing can be achieved both software-based conferencing and hardware, or you can use a software application from Cisco known as Cisco Meeting Server. And I will show you a demo of that today. So media application, like I said, Cisco Media IP Voice Media Streaming Services is a call manager service that you activate and deactivate. If you activate that service, it becomes media resource server. If you deactivate that service, no longer conferencing works. Now let's go take a look at a demo, for example. I'll go to my call manager. I'll open my call manager here. Let me see if I should have. There we go. All right, so now here is my, I'm going to increase my, there we go, call manager. Now, one of the things that you usually do when you log into call manager for the first time is that you activate all the services, right? That is something that everybody has been doing that for, the birth of call managers. And what happened is when you're practicing this or training this, a lot of people kind of don't understand this, that if you go to your control center and you will see that there is a service called Cisco IP Voice Media Streaming app right there. Sorry, right there. At this moment, this particular service is running and is activated. And if I go ahead and disable that or stop this, I will not have any sort of conferencing capability in call manager, period. Okay, it will not register software conference nor hardware conference. Okay, so yeah, is it possible? There's a question from JSAC, is it? I'm sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly. Apologize for that. Is it possible for Cisco IP phone to establish three-way conference? Yes, it is possible using something called built-in conference capability. But again, it will limit it to that. So if I go ahead and disable this feature, it will disable conference services. Now, why would it do that? Well, first of all, let's say you have 20, let's say you have 10 server solution, call manager, for example. Not all of them are going to be conference bridge, right? Maybe you want to allocate 2 servers out of the 10 as a conference bridge. So what you do, you disable the service on the remaining 8 servers, and only on those 2 servers that you want to act as a conference bridge or media resource, you activate that services on that. Okay. So that is one of the reasons why you may need to enable and disable stuff like that. All right. So now, oops. In Call Manager, Software Conference Bridge can only support G.711 and G.711 A law and G.711 mu law, as well as wideband audio codec. So what does that mean? That means that if you want to join the conference using G729, okay, G.729, you will have to use hardware conference for that. And remember, these days, bandwidth is becoming very efficient, cheap, and bandwidth is increasing. I mean, obviously, every country has a different standard for bandwidth. We have gigabits of connections coming to your home these days. So really, G.711, G.729 is going to be a thing of past in the future. So what I mean to say that next couple of years, probably nobody wouldn't care about whether should we use G711 or G729. G.711 is the highest pretty much the toll-free quality. So if you use if you want the best quality, you want to use G.7, so G.711. In Call Manager, they do provide two type of conferences. You got AdHoc Conference and MeetMe Conference. AdHoc Conference, for example, let's say I call you, and we decided that we're going to invite one of our vendor, right? So we then put each one of us on a conference call. We will then invite the vendor, and the vendor join into the conference. This is called AdHoc, where the conference party initiator invite another person into the conference into the bridge. MeetMe Conference, on the other hand, slightly different. MeetMe Conference, I have to initiate the conference internally from the call manager, and then let other people send them the instruction of how to join in by dialing and certain numbers. MeetMe Conference by default does not provide security, meaning that there is no password authentication in MeetMe. But there are other ways of achieving that, okay? Back in the days, we use Unity Connection, we use Contact Center to provide a secure MeetMe. But today, still, Call Manager MeetMe does not have the password capability. But there is other type of conference bridge available that allows you to do password control or PIN number control, stuff like that. And I will show you some of them today. Now, what if I want a hardware conference? Well, if you want a hardware conference, you need a Cisco router or some sort of external hardware conference device. And there are other companies in the world that makes them. Let's stick to the Cisco router as a hardware conference. So let's say I have a Cisco router 2911, and in that Cisco router, let me see if I can open my router right there. So this is my Cisco router, and I decided that I'm going to use this router as my conference bridge. So first thing I need to do is that I need to buy a special chip, memory-like chip from Cisco, and put that chip into the router, and that chip looks like this. Okay, well, something similar to that, depending on the model of the router and the model of the chip that you buy. So this chip is called DSP, or PVDM, Packetized Voice Data Module. This PVDM basically provides or makes a Cisco router a iOS-based conference bridge or transcoder or media termination point. Now, these PVDM, there are three types of PVDM you have: PVDM 2, PVDM 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4, they're basically generation type. PVDM 3 and PVDM 4 can provide video conferencing, whereas PVDM 2 cannot provide video conferencing. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. And then if you want to use Cisco Meeting Server, which is another application I'm going to show you today, very popular, getting very popular among Cisco. It is a server that you put on your on-premise network, acting as Cisco Meeting Server, Cisco Conference Solutions. Very similar to WebEx or Zoom, okay? It pretty much does exactly what WebEx and Zoom does. But WebEx and Zoom is a cloud-based solution. Cisco Meeting Server happens to be on-premise solutions. So there's something that very popular. There's a lot of demand going on. Now you might be asking, why would companies invest so much money for putting a Cisco Meeting Server on site, not go to Zoom or WebEx? Well, first of all, privacy. Okay, certain part of the world, privacy is very important. Second is confidentiality of your meetings. You don't know if Zoom is listening to your conversation. You don't know if Zoom is has access to the recording of your conversation. What if they take that information and pass it to your advisory countries? Well, that is where a lot of companies are decided that should we go cloud or should we put our own system? Again, at the end of the day, depends on the company type. VoiceBootcamp, one or two-man show. We don't really care if anybody copies our video conferencing, but companies like Health Canada, the Health Network in US, they're very sensitive of conversation about a patient record. Health record should not be exposed outside the country. Like, for example, in Canada, our Health Canada is government control. And there is a policy that says that Health Canada's document, whether it is a paper-based document, video call or audio call, it cannot be stored outside the country. It has to be inside the country. With the WebEx and Zoom, you don't know where the data is being stored. So that could be another problem. Video conferencing on PVDM are possible, absolutely. It's a special on PVDM3. It's part of your CCIE lab. If you're doing the CCIE, it can be done, and we have done it many times. So you need a PVDM3 to achieve the video conferencing. So yeah, meeting server is becoming a popular, very, very interesting software. We do teach that Cisco meeting server courses as well. So this is becoming one of our very hot product. Now, Cisco meeting server is basically can be deployed on a virtual machine or can be deployed on Cisco UCS platform. Or you can buy this particular type of appliances from Cisco called CMS 1000 or CMS 2000, which is basically an UCS platform. So, or you can put it on a VMware virtual machines, which is perfectly fine. Now, the one that I'm going to show you today is on virtual machines that is running in our environment. It gives you a capacity in terms of what the Cisco meeting server can do or how many meetings it can achieve, depending on the model. So this is something that you could use as your kind of guideline. All right, now Cisco, to compare the audio conference bridge, IP voice media streaming app is a software base, provide this many participant per server, 128 participant per server, 42 conferences per server, and number of participants can be in a conference is 128. Now, sometimes you may be wondering, well, that's great. I mean, first of all, very few meeting that has 104 more than that many users. We're not talking about a webinar, okay? Or you can buy some of the physical hardware-based module, such as a PVDM3, 6608 blade from the 6509, or 6608 Cisco iOS router as a hardware, such as using PVDM3, which can provide audio conferencing, video conferencing, anywhere between as low as 8 to as high as 256 participants. So, well, 8 participants per conferences. So again, the advantage of running hardware conference, it does support both G711 and G729 codec as well. So when you are not in control of where the users are coming from, and it cannot guarantee that everybody is going to be used G711, at that moment you have to decide whether you go software or a hardware. But most cases, software conference does a job for small to mid-sized business. All right, integration option. Like I say, there are 3 right now. Call Manager version 11, I believe, on Word. I'm not sure 100%, might be wrong. Include additional conference services and in top of AdHoc Conference or MeetMe. It does include things like Conference Now as well as Rendezvous Conference. Now, Rendezvous Conference is a Cisco meeting server, but the Conference Now is a built-in conference solution within the Call Manager that does give you some sort of access control using PIN number. And I will show you an example of how to achieve that. Now, if you are going to communicate or distribute this conference bridge to within your organization, you need to decide how you want to distribute that. For example, let's say I have a head office in Toronto and I have a branch office in Bangalore. And when I do have that Bangalore branch office, do I want those people in Bangalore to get a conference services from the resources that we have in Toronto? Well, you could, nothing wrong with that. But that whole conference stuff is going to have to cross over the internet to the Bangalore office. So what we can do, part of our planning, so look, if we have a office in Bangalore and we have 10, 20 people there, why not put a conference bridge physically in Bangalore? Remember, RTP or media traffic is local. Well, you may need to decide that factor. But even if you do have a server in Bangalore acting as a conference bridge, how do you tell the call manager, so look, people that were joining in from Bangalore should use the server that we have in Bangalore? We do that using this concept called media resource group or media resource group list. Again, I don't want to go into the configuration of the MRG and MRGL, but just to give you an idea, the media resource group and media resource group list can be used to distribute these resources across your environment, depending on where the users are. Conference Now, on the other hand, it's something that you set up a centralized number in Call Manager, could be a 4-digit number, could be a toll-free number, and then you will dial that number. It will give you an IVR, says, please enter your meeting ID. You enter a meeting ID, and then if you are the person who owns the meeting, meaning that I'm the person who's initiating the meeting, is going to ask me for a PIN number. So let's say I have a bridge, this is the phone number, and no meeting going on, okay? I come to my office and I decided that I'm gonna set up a meeting with Mohsen. So what I do, I dial the number. Now, because I dial the number, it's gonna ask me a meeting ID. If I enter my own meeting ID, but there is no conference currently running on that ID, the system is gonna ask me for my PIN number to start the conference. So I entered my PIN number 12345, conference gets started. Now, Mohsin is going to join the conference on scheduled time. When he dials the same number and the meeting ID, because the meeting has been already started, the system is not going to ask Mohsin the meeting PIN number. The system is going to ask Mohsin to dial what we call the access code. Now, the access code is something that I will have to send it to Mohsin during the invitation, saying, hey, Mohsin, please dial this number, then here's your meeting ID, and here's your access code. And that access code is something that belongs to me. And I will give that access code to him. He will then enter that to join the conference. So that is called Conference Now solution. And then, of course, you have the external conference server, which is Cisco Meeting Server, WebEx Conference, Zoom Conference. Some of them can be integrated with Call Manager or CUCM. And I will show you how to integrate the Cisco Meeting Server CMS with the Call Manager. So that is the type of conference bridges that we have in Call Manager. Do you guys have any questions about this right now? Okay, so yeah, okay, so the question is, will the conference will remain demand? Of course, because I think, I don't know about the other part of the world, but especially in Canada, sometime next year, we're going to have a serious real estate crisis in downtown Toronto. Why? Because a lot of companies are realizing, why should I pay $20,000 for an office when we all can work from home? So companies, what they're doing, they're basically giving incentive for people to work from home. So a lot of nowadays, company goes, let me pay for your internet, let me pay for your phone, let me pay for your cell phone, because that is cheaper than you coming to my office. Why? Because when you come to my office, is a real estate, power, air conditioning, heating, all those things adds up money, right? So a lot of company realize it. Even if I move my office, like what I'm doing online, teaching you guys, I could do this from home, and I would be saving $5,000 to $7,000 a month. That's a lot of money for a small company like me. I could be taking a vacation every month. But the only reason I can't move is because of my data center, that I have a live equipment that I need for training. So for me, not an option. But when I go to different country to train these courses, guess what I do? I use conference solutions, right? For people joining in, me logging into my network. The webinar that we're doing right now is going to be huge demand, and everything is going to come onto online for sure. That's going to drive the demand for conferencing. All right. Now, what we're going to do, we have a questions here. Does a new conference server content feature like share screen give? Absolutely. Cisco Meeting Server is pretty much, in my opinion, better than WebEx, and a little bit less feature than Zoom. So it's kind of like in between. I'm not very fan of Cisco WebEx. We do use WebEx, but I don't think WebEx has the, what do you call, the user friendly. Is UI is really is user interface is really horrible compared to Zoom. And also something to, when it comes to HTML5, Cisco meeting server use WebRTC and HTML5, which is very easy and fast. So yeah, it's much better in that case. Is there any solution to make Cisco CUCM work more than 180 days? VMware snapshot, my friend, VMware snapshot. Revert it and re-import the configuration. All right, we're gonna take a quick 5-minute break. And after that 5-minute break, I'm gonna show you some labs. I'm gonna show you how to set up AdHoc MeetMe Conference, Conference Now, and I'm gonna walk you through Cisco meeting server configurations. Not gonna do the config for you, but configurations, as well as I'm gonna show you how the Cisco meeting server management application works, CMM. So let's take a quick 5-minute break, and then I will discuss the differences as well between CMS 2.x and 2.3.x onward. So let's come back in 5 minutes. Just getting my environment ready. So I'm gonna get my 3 phone registered. Yeah, we're going to discuss only the CMS overview. It's not going to be focused more on deployment type there, Samuel. But like I said, we go in depth. Now, as far as the major difference between CMS 2.x and 3.x, 3.x, it has to be managed by Cisco Meeting Server Management, CMM, and XMPP services has been removed from 2.x. So no more XMPP. And also few other features has been removed from the older version. All right, so we have one phone registered. Where's my second phone? Right there. And let me get my third phone registered as well. I'm just going to remove some of this work. All right, just to make sure everybody can still see me and hear me properly, right? Before I get started on this. Perfect. All right, so what I'm gonna do is show you first is, before I start using any sort of conferences, is how to register software and a hardware conference bridge. Now the software conference bridge is automatically registered as soon as you activate the services I just showed you, Cisco IP media voice media application. But if you want to see them, you can go to the media resource in your call manager and then click on like conference bridge. You will see there is a one conference bridge is already there, and that is my software conference bridge, currently registered as the IP address of the call manager. Okay. Okay, so now let's assume that I want to register my hardware conference bridge. Okay, currently I have Cisco router. It's a 2911 ISR router, and if you want this Cisco router to register to the call manager as a conference bridge, first of all, you need to make sure that you have appropriate number of PVDM or the DSP chips. So if I type show inventory, and you'll see that I currently do have a PVDM3 DSP right there. That is the 64. That means 4 PVDM chips, up to 64 simultaneous calls. What I want to do right now is that I want to use this PVDM router to register. So I want to use this PVDM to register the call manager. Now, I won't show you too much of the registration, show you what configurations that you really need. Well, first of all, what you need to do is that on your voice card configuration, you got to make sure that these two commands are tied. This is going to tell the Cisco router, say, look, I'm going to use the DSP resource for some sort of media processing service. What they are could be anything. We don't know what type of type of media service I'm going to use, but I'm going to use them. So you basically give it a signal to the router, and then you go to this section where you use the SSCP. Now, SSCP is the protocol that we use to register the Cisco router to the call manager as a conference bridge or as a transcoder or as a, let's say, whatever that you want to use the router for. So I'm going to say, I'm going to use SSCP, bind it to the local interface, and then I'm going to register to the call manager. Now, I'm not using this call manager. I'm going to change that a little bit. And then I need to create profile for each type of resources that I want to use the PVDM for. And here you'll see that I got 3 profile. You got DSP farm profile 1 and is acting as a transcoder. DSP farm profile 2 is the one that I'm concerned of because that is my conference. So this is the profile that I'm creating to build a conference bridge. And under this profile, I have these codec that I want to support, G711, 29, and what are the codec that you want to support, you will select them right here. How many simultaneous session? Now, excuse me. The simultaneous session does not mean 4 participants. It means 4 conference bridge can be established. Each conference bridge having, let's say, 8 participants, okay? So you want to make sure you understand. A lot of people think that that's a number of participants. No. Well, it does help you toward that. Now, one thing though, how many participants you can have here how many sessions you can have here will depend on that PVDM 64. Remember that? So if you had a PVDM 316, then you will have less number. If you have PVDM 3, let's say, I don't know, 32, you will have a less number. So I'm going to be using this profile, and I'm going to use this router to register. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to shut down this profile for now. I'm shutting them down because I need to change the IP address. Okay, all my 3 profiles are done. And what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to go to, I'm going to add a second call manager right here. Right now, this is pointing to 65.21, and I'm going to create a second one that's pointing to 64.21. So I'm going to type this command, SCCP CCM 142.21. Identifier 2 because it's the second one. Priority, let's say 1 or 2, that's fine. And I'm going to say version 7. The call manager version 7.x. So right now, this is what I have. As you can see, there's 2 of them right now. Okay. So if I want to point to this call manager, I will use the identifier 2. If I want to point to this call manager, I'll be using identifier 1. So if you look at here in this particular group, SSCP CCM group 1, which is your, to group all these profiles together, it is right now saying register this group to this call manager 1. That means it's going to go to 65.1. I don't want that. I want to change this to point to group number 2. So to do that, I have to first go to that group. Actually, I can remove this group. No SSCP CCM group 1. So I'm removing it. I'm going to create it from scratch, okay? I'm going to create it from the scratch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say SSCP CCM group 1. Let's call it 10. CCM associate CCM 2. This is the number 2, the 64.2021. And I want to register this. I want to register this as a what? I need to specify what I'm going to register this. So, well, sorry, priority going to be 1, and then I want to associate the profile. Remember the profile? I got 3 profile: DSP farm profile 1, profile 2, which was a conference. Profile 3 was, believe media termination point. I want to register the profile number 2 as a conference bridge. So I'm going to say DSP associate profile 2 register, and I need to give it a name. So let's call this Zoom CRB, conference bridge. CBR, I don't know, whatever. Let's just call that whatever. Okay, you could choose whatever name you want. Okay, and then you're going to say, I believe that's pretty much it. So this is the configuration you need. You need the second group right there, identifier 2. You're saying take this profile and tie up with this particular profile right there. So I need to now go back to this profile 2 and turn it on. Okay, so turn it on. So I got to go back to this profile conference, type no shut, and then type no SSCP and SSCP to initialize it. Okay, so now I have to take this name right here, go to call manager and register the bridge. Okay, so you will take this name, go to your call manager, and you go to media resource, conference bridge, logged out. And I'm going to add a new bridge. This time I got to specify the bridge type. So the bridge type is going to be iOS enhanced conference bridge. Okay, so I'm going to select that and put a bridge name. That's the name that I want, the Zoom CBR. I mean, I don't know why I chose that name, but anyway, device pool and save. So as you can see, as soon as I did that, it automatically picked up the IP address of the router. Okay, why? Because when I typed the command no SSCP, the router was sending signal to call manager saying, hey, I am Zoom CBR, I would like to register. Call manager goes, I don't know who you are and what your type is. So this tells the call manager what to do with that signal that's coming in. It's going to tell the call manager that, hey, register that name as a conference bridge. So what I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to go back to the router one more time, and I'm going to type no config T, no SSCP, and SSCP to initialize it again. And when I come back here and refresh it, you should see that my conference bridge is now registered with the call manager. Okay. So I have 2 bridge, one the software, one the physical, the hardware. Now I'm ready to test this. Okay. So to use this bridge, I'm going to use something called media resource group. Now I don't have any group created, I'm assuming. Come on. Okay, so no group created. I'm going to say add a new group, MRG HQ. And I want to use a software resource first. As you can see right there, software resource, and save. Okay. And I will create a media resource group list, include this group into that list. Let's call this HQMRGL. And I'm going to put that HQ media resource group I just created. So if I am creating one for Bangalore, I will call this Bangalore MRGL and put the server from Bangalore into this group and assign that group into this Bangalore list. All right, so I'm done with that. And rest is, I believe I have to apply to the phone. And instead of applying all my phone individually, I will go to the device pool default and apply the media resource group list right there. MRGL. And now if I reset this, there we go. I reset it. And let's go see if I could use my phone. So I got 3 phone registered. Where's my third phone? Okay, there we go. Okay, so now let me quickly modify the phone number 3 because this is the annoying Cisco thing, the self-provisioning thing, URL. Could have fixed it, but I was a bit lazy this morning. All right, so let's go. All right, so we got 3 phones, fair enough. And I'm gonna call from 3001 to 3002, and I'm gonna conference this 3003, okay? Right there. Answer. Okay, so you see that there is no button for me to conference in, and that is because something to do with the phone button template. Okay, so I'm gonna go to soft key template, standard template. I'm going to modify and I'm going to call this Zoom webinar. And I want to include the conference button right on the options. So I'm going to go to related key. For those of you guys who are not familiar with this configuration, do not worry about it because this is something that you learn in CCNP, or if you work with this thing. Unfortunately, these are something that I have to do in order to get this thing working. So once the call is connected, I want that the conference button, yeah, the conference is right there. It's already available, so I just have to apply this soft key template to all my phone. I'm going to use my bulk admin to update the phone because I only have 3 phones, so I can use the bulk to do that. So I'm going to update all my 3 phones at once with this soft key template. So I'm going to apply this soft key template that I created called Zoom webinar, and I want to run this immediately. So, okay, conference video. There you go. There, sorry, I apologize again. JSIC is it? Or Olobri. So that's how you create the conference bridge for videos. Okay. All right. So I got 4 of my videos has been successful. Now let's go see if I could do that again. So let's make the call. Okay, I have to reset the phone. Okay, a webinar. So I'm going to reset all 3 phones. All right. So working because these are software phones, so they don't download the soft key template properly. So that's why you have to make sure that you apply a soft key template and apply this phone. Technically, most Cisco hardware phones should already have that. Answer. Okay, click on more. See the conference. So I'm going to conference. I'm going to mute myself first. So you can see the conference button right there, see a conference. I'm going to type that conference. I'm going to dial 2003. And there we go. We're all in a conference. Okay, so 3 people in a conference bridge. Very simple. Sorry, sorry about that. Very simple, yet, you know, something that easily work in our organization. What I want to do now is that I want to go to the media resource group, and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to add something else, but I'm going to remove the conference. So the group does not have any conference. Well, you don't, again, Jessica, you don't need to have the iOS video conferencing call. You just register as a conference. So conference bridge. Right there, you could register as a conference. You're talking about the call manager certain version does not support the video conferencing anymore. Is that what you're talking about? Or the PVDM3 doesn't support video conferencing? So, all right, so let's try again. What are we talking about doing? Okay, so I have removed, I think I have removed the conference bridge from this group. Okay, no more conference bridge available. So let's see what happened. Redial. Sure. Mute. I'm going to conference 2002. Answer. Press the conference button. Okay. So what's happening is, even though the conference bridge is not in a group, it is still using it. And the reason behind that is because any resource that is not part of any group, it is available by default. Okay. So here you'll see that in my media, if I go to this, I only have one media resource group, and this is the group right there that contains this service, but not the conference bridge, but yet it's still working. And a lot of people think that you don't really need to use any sort of bridge for a conference like that. So you simply, let's say I'm going to create a group called dummy. Okay. And I'm going to put everything in there. Everything in that group. So I can't even spell today. Okay. So dummy. So now dummy has all the resources, but the one that I'm going to use for my phone still does not have the conference bridge. So let's see what happened now. Redial. Oh, sorry, my phone just called. Because these are demo phones, so they only last for 20 minutes. After that, they will close and I have to open it again. I'm just going to close all of them and open them. Da, 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 da. So phone 1, phone 2, and phone 3. Calling this phone. Conference 2003. You see what it's saying? No bridge, no conference bridge available. Okay, so what's happening is, if you try to conference that call, it says no conference bridge available. Even though, let me close this, even though I do have the bridge, the problem is the bridge itself is not part of any group. So if you take all the resources, put them in a dummy group, then automatically you break the chain saying that no resources available by default. So you have to manually configure each user to that group. So what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to add this hardware conference bridge that I've created into this group. Okay. Into this group. And then I'm going to go media resource group list, and I'm going to reset this. Oh no, you can't. I'm going to reset the device pool. There we go. Let's wait for this and see if we can establish the conference. I'll dial from here. Why not? Call, answer, conference, answer, press the button, and we are now in a conference. See that? 3 party. But this is now using the hardware conference, the router itself. So let's go verify that. So I'm in the router and I want to verify show SCCP connection. And you'll see that there are 3 connections coming from 3 different from the same IP address because I'm in the same laptop, right? And it is using G711 codec. So whether it is a hardware conference bridge or software conference bridge, you're going to need a bridge. Doesn't matter. A lot of people think that they don't need a bridge because they don't forget that if a bridge is part of a mediators group and that group is not being applied to anybody, it will not be available by default. So as you can see, my hardware conference bridge is now working. The thing is that you need to decide where to deploy this bridge, this router. So if this router was supposed to provide services for the people in Bangalore, I need to make sure that this router is sitting in Bangalore. Okay, so that is very important. Next, I'm going to show you Cisco MeetMe Conference. Okay, so MeetMe Conference is pretty straightforward. You go to call routing, go to MeetMe number right there, and you say, okay, I'm going to add a new number. Let's call this 2900. This is going to be my number, okay, to initiate a MeetMe, or it could be toll-free number, totally up to you. So now I'm going to establish a conference. So what I'm going to do as a person who's initiating the conference, I'm going to first click on new call, press the more, MeetMe, and then dial the number 2900. A conference has been established, as you can see, it's connected. So let's go to the router and type the show SCCP connection. You'll see there's one connection already established. Okay, so I have established a conference. Now, anybody who wants to join in, all they have to do is dial the number 2900. They don't have to press the button. Okay, 2900 conference. Okay, so now let me mute it. So if I go back to connection, okay. So as you join the conference, as people join the conference, the number of participants start to increase. So that is a MeetMe conference. The only problem with the MeetMe conference is that it cannot be initiated from outside the organization. It has to be initiated inside by pressing that soft key that we talked about, the MeetMe. So, but anybody from outside can join the conference once it is established. So that's your conference number 2. Then Cisco has something called Conference Now. Now, in Call Manager, you have end user account, which is every employee will have their own username and password. And as you can see, I have a username, password, FCON, my extension, and so on. So if I click on that, you'll see that this is my self-user ID, my PIN number, my password. And if I scroll down all the way down right here, Conference Now, if I have Conference Now enabled and I have provided meeting ID. So meeting ID is usually your whatever your primary extension is. So meeting number is 3001. And as you can see, I can't change that. Okay. And attend access code, this is the number that I want to give it to people who wants to join my meeting. So if I want Mohsin to join the meeting, I will send him an email, say, look, Mohsin, here's a phone number, toll-free number. Here's the meeting ID 3001. Here is the attendee access code 3000. Very similar to Zoom 9-digit number. Now, how do you initiate this conference? To initiate this conference, the first thing you need to do is that you got to go to, where am I? Conference Now. Under call routing, Conference Now. So you go to Conference Now and you provide a number. So let's say I'm going to delete this number. And I want to create a new conference, new number, 1-800-777-0060. This is your toll-free number for conferencing, okay? And you save that. So now we have the user FCon with the ID 3001. So let's go join a conference. So as I want to initiate a conference, so I'm going to send new call 18. What was the number? 888. Sorry about that. Getting old, man. Getting old. Okay, let's say this number. I'm going to dial 1-800-777-0060. Okay, let's try a lower number. Okay, so you do need the bridge, the software bridge. So let's try again. What? It was tested this morning. Not reach the number. Okay, so let me go back to this, remove the hardware conference, reset the device pool. Okay, so let's wait for a few seconds and then try. Oh, that is very weird. $2,600 should work fine. Okay, IVR service should be, everything is activated. Let's double check it. I mean, I tested this morning before I started the web seminar. And it worked fine. All right. So provisioning IVR is fine. Just gonna quickly restart this just for the heck of it.
To provision a new.
Yeah, the IVR function is fine. All right, so let's try. Let me delete the MeetMe number. Though I don't think it's anything to do with that. And make sure 26 call routing route plan. Where's my route plan? Yeah, it's only is going to conference now. So the number is correct. Very strange. Under no reason why it should not be working. Only other thing I can think of is restarting the call manager service. But okay, let me show you the other conferences, the last one, and then I'll restart the call manager service, and I'm going to try one more time. It's basically after you're going to hear an IVR, it's going to ask you to enter the conference ID, which is 3001. And then it's going to ask you to enter your PIN number if you're the person, if the conference has not already been started. But if in case it has been started, partition, I tried without partition this morning and it worked fine. So I don't think it's a partition related issues. It could be that I just may need to restart the call manager service. So we'll wait for a few, let it run for a few minutes. So that is one thing, that one of the Conference Now solution that you have. Now, every employee can have this feature. All you have to do is go to add a new user for you thing, and you can enable the Conference Now right there, and it will automatically create a meeting number based on whatever the phone that is associated with it. Okay. Do you have IVR media resource registered? You don't need that for it. There is no additional media resources that I need to register. Oh, I mean, you mean the IVR server? Yeah. Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question. I think that's what it is. Thank you, Nikolai. So I think in this resource, I need to put that IVR right there. Thank you. Hey, let's see, you learn from everybody, right? There you go. So I will include the IVR into the media resource group. So the reason why it worked this morning, because I didn't use any group. I just simply dialed a number and it was available by default. So I will reset that. And let's try.
Welcome. To join a
hey, thank you, Nikolai.
Enter a meeting number.
All right.
Followed by pound.
I'm going to enter my meeting number, 3001 pound.
If you are the meeting host, please enter your PIN.
Okay, enter my PIN.
Press pound to continue.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think.
The PIN you entered is invalid. Please
1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So conference has been established, as you can see. Now I want Mohsin to join in. So he opens up his phone. He dialed the same number, 2600.
Welcome. To join a conference now, please enter a meeting number followed by pound.
He looks at his email, 3001.
Please enter the attendee access code.
The attendee access code is 0000. And we are in a conference.
Welcome. To join a conference now, please enter the attendee access code.
So now we have 3 people in a conference bridge. Okay, so if you want to try that toll-free number, all you really have to do is change the number to 800 number, that's all. Same thing. I mean, that number is just irrelevant.
Welcome. To join a conference now.
All right. So thanks goes to Nikolai for pointing that out. That was a good catch. And now you've seen what a conference now looks like. You've seen what an AdHoc conference looks like. You see what a MeetMe conference looks like. Let's quickly go through what Cisco Meeting Server MeetMe looks like. Conference looks like. Now, I'm not going to give you the entire tour of CMS. That's a lot to cover, but I'm just going to give you an overview. So I do have Cisco Meeting Server registered and configured properly as per our setup. So Cisco Meeting Server, as you will see that it is pretty straight, very small application, pretty straightforward. It is being managed by this application called Cisco Meeting Management. And I think version 2.9 onward, Cisco Meeting Management is the way to manage your meetings, okay? So here, as an admin, I can see all the meetings that are happening here. I can check to see which call bridge server is registered. So right now I have only one call bridge server. I can use the same meeting management to manage multiple call bridge server. I can set up a provisioning. I can associate with the TMS for user provisioning, stuff like that. I can edit a cluster, remove it, and add a new call bridge if I want to. Now, this particular call bridge now, CMS, if you look at the general configuration, It's been configured with this IVR number 8600. You can change it to toll-free number if you want to, or I'm going to keep it 8600. People can join this meeting using this web bridge. So if I copy that URL and go to that address, you'll see me having a coconut in a Thailand sitting there, Cisco meeting server app. So this is like a WebEx, right? Like you joining using the Zoom. And so this is like a very similar to Zoom or WebEx. All you have to do, if you're the admin or host, you go to sign in. If you're joining a meeting, you just simply click on join, okay? When you join a meeting, it's gonna ask you for meeting ID, passcode, and join. So that is if you want to join in. So let's go to here, config, and I have something called space. Space is like creating your own conference. It's like your own personal room. So I have a room called VBC Meeting Room 1. This is the ID. This is the caller ID. So if I choose this name right here, copy, and I go to join, passcode, no passcode needed. And now I have a meeting started. Okay. Is it public? Unfortunately, Gabriel is not public. It is set up internally right now. Okay. So right now a meeting has been joined in. And if you go to the CMM meeting, this is, yeah, so let me see. Join the meeting. So you gotta click on join. Unable to join because, okay, I believe the reason why it's unable to join is because I'm already connected to one meeting. Maybe that is could be it. Unable to join the call. My audio, join presentation, join audio and video only. It could be that. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to try a different browser. I'm going to call out because I already have one meeting running. So maybe the protocol is being utilized. Could have set up so that you guys can join in, but unfortunately didn't have the time to do that. So join in meeting 408-202-2001. Allow. Oh, there you go. You're the only participant in the meeting. So right now I got meeting is running. And if I go back to my CMM, you'll see that there is one meeting is running and there's only one participant at this moment, participant 1, and started today. If you click on this room, you'll see the name of the participant guest 759, which is auto-generated by the system. I will give you those questions, answer your questions shortly there. There are a few questions there. All right. So from here, now let's say I want someone to join in here, right? From the phone. So first of all, in Call Manager, you have to have a SIP trunk configured. Oh, there you go. Device, I have a SIP trunk between my Call Manager and the CMS server right there, pointing to the Cisco meeting server. And then I have configured two things. I could dial into the conference using a SIP URI, but I can dial in using my phone number. So let's say I open my phone number, and what I have is I have a SIP route pattern, which says anything that starts with vbcpod1.com, it should point to the SIP trunk that I've created called CMS. Okay. Or I also have a route pattern configured that says if you dial this number, pointing to the SIP trunk CMS. So at this stage, what I have is that I could dial in by dialing the number, or I can just simply dialing an email address from Java. Now, I don't have a Java registered to show you guys. So what I have, I do have an email address right there. See that? Can you guys see that? 408-202-2001 at vbcpod1.com. If I press this button,
Welcome to a Cisco meeting. You are entering the meeting now.
I'm in the meeting right now. Two-person. See that? So let me mute this. Testing. Okay, mute this. So right now I got 3001 join into the meeting and I also have a guest joining from the website. So I do have a meeting going on at this stage. If I open phone number 2, but phone number 2 decided that, hey, I have an old phone. I can only dial out. Okay. So phone number 2 is going to do is just dial 8600 to join the conference. 8600.
Welcome to a Cisco meeting. Please enter the call ID.
Call
followed by the
ID,
pound key.
which will be 408-202-2001.
Please enter the call ID followed by the pound key.
408-202-2001.
Please enter the call ID.
Okay, so this is a DTMF problem. Let's try again.
Welcome to a Cisco meeting. Please enter the call ID followed by the pound key. Please enter the call ID.
So it's a DTMF problem on my SIP trunk. Okay, so that is something else I have to look at. So you go to SIP trunk. I don't know. Let's try this media termination point. I don't want to troubleshoot right now. Too many things. All right. So meeting is still going on. I'm the only participant, as you can see. CMM says I have only one participant right now, which is correct. Other guy has logged out. I will dial back in.
Welcome to a Cisco meeting. You are entering the meeting now.
So here, what's happening is because I put the URL of the meeting ID into my CPURI, so it's not asking me for any sort of meeting ID because it simply goes, okay, I know who you are. This is the ID, this is the meeting ID that you're joining. But when I'm dialing the number, it does not know what meeting ID I'm supposed to go because I could create another one. I could call it Zoom meeting and I can say 9999. That's the meeting ID, right? So I need to specify that. So here I have to say 8600.
Welcome to a Cisco meeting. Please enter the call ID followed by the pound key. Please enter the call.
Okay, I do DTMF. Where's my DTMF configuration? See profile. Okay, I have to change something to do with the DTMF. It's not recognizing my digit. Reception. Yeah, I won't bother with that right now. So this is something to DTMF because your digit is not being recognized by the CMS. It could be simply my SIP trunk to the CMS may not be configured as part of the DTMF request. Okay, DTMF signaling. So let's try RFC 2833. RFC 2833, that's an in-band, isn't it? That's an in-band DTMF. All right, let's try one more time.
Welcome to a Cisco meeting. Please enter the call ID followed by the pound key. Please enter the call ID.
Yeah, it's not recognizing for some reason. So that's something that I have to troubleshoot as into more details. But you can see that with this utility, you could set up a meeting rendezvous type of meeting by putting the meeting functionality on an external server. Now with the Cisco meeting server, I could record the meeting as a meeting controller. I could stream the meeting. So the meeting is done. People can be zip trunk, look for DTMF preferred change to OBB. Okay, let's try OBB. Let's try that since we're here. Let's try one last. That could be it too. You're right. See, part of planning. If you don't plan it properly, all this thing, a lot of things could happen. So let's just include everything for now. So that media termination point maybe is required for the trunk. It's looking for the media termination point and doesn't find it. All right. So one more time, this guy will join in using the URI.
Welcome to a Cisco meeting. You are entering the meeting now.
8600.
Welcome to a Cisco meeting.
408-202-2001.
You are entering the
There you go.
meeting now.
So now, thank you, Valerie. Okay. Sorry about that again if I mispronounce your name. So right now I got 3 participants in the meeting. I could, and Samuel again. Thank you for the help. So you can see that I got 2 people joining in, 1 guest, 2 internal. Now, if they have the capability of video conferencing, you could initiate a video, you could mute them, you could take certain controls. Now you can move them from one party. You can say, I don't like this guy, I will move him to another conference, okay, or whatever. So a lot of functionality can be controlled using the Cisco meeting management. So if you are going for Cisco CMS deployment, then version 2.9 onward, Cisco recommend that you must use CMM to manage it. It's free. The CMM part is free. There's no cost to it, but CMS, of course, there's a charges to that. All licensing and everything is managed from central location now. And you can add multiple call bridge servers to provide conference solutions centrally to your organizations. All right, so that pretty much covers up the Cisco conference services that are available. I know a few questions that existed that says, do you need IVR to be configured for Conference Now, Jishan? Yes, as I believe it was Samuel, Nikolai, who pointed out that you do need the IVR services that should be part of the media research group. You do need that. Is WebEx is better than CMS? It's not one better than other. It depends on what is your goal and objective and what policies you're trying to follow. For example, certain organizations like Health Canada, US Health Network, they do not want conferences to be offsite because of privacy concern about sniffing into your health records, stuff like that. Military organization may not like imagine they're planning something and you don't want Zoom to redirect that call somewhere else. So you want to be it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you need something for more confidentially, you want to be able to put that thing on your premise network. So I wouldn't say one is better than other. And I think I have answered all the questions. Any other questions you guys have? Now I'm going to share a link with you guys. That is for the seminar that is coming in on Saturday. Feel free to join if you want to see how Amazon call center collaboration works. Demo license for CMS is available from Cisco Cloud Network. Or you could email me at fcon@VoiceBootcamp, and I will try to share with you a demo license that is available. Okay, so if now, like I said, guys, I'm doing this. I do this as a part of on a regular basis. So you guys are again, yeah, Omar, you will get the email automatically sent to you once the video, once the webinar finish. You will get a copy of the video. You can download them or watch it online. And as far as the what is the future of VoIP, especially in Cisco? A lot of people ask me these questions. The VoIP is dead. Cisco collaboration is dead, and blah blah blah. You should move to cloud and whatnot. I remember in 1997 when I became a Microsoft MCSE certified, a lot of people told me MCC was going to be dead and everything. Guys, we're going to evolve. We're going to evolve from one field to another field. We're going to evolve from one technology to another technology. Um, now, since VoIP is still there, people are going to be working from home. There will be a lot of requirement for VoIP stuff to be in play. So make sure that what do you call, keep upgrading your stuff, keep joining into this. And what other questions you guys have? All right. So one thing I wanted to mention to you guys, if you guys like the sessions and if you feel that it was useful to you, like I said, I'm not asking you to buy anything from me. All I'm asking, if you could go to my website, send me a quick review right here, says or review. Please, if you feel that is worth it, send me a review. I'll really appreciate that. As a small company, we are very work with word of mouth from people, and it will definitely help me go along the road. I will be doing a lot of more seminars and webinars for the next 2 months. You will get invitation automatically because you're now part of the mailing list. If you want to be remove yourself, there should be an instruction there how to remove from the mailing list. I don't send spam. I only send maybe 1 or 2 emails a month, and you should be able to tolerate that. At least it's for your own education. I'll be doing a lot of videos on a contact center and UCCX stuff for the next couple of weeks, and so watch out for those email. Join in. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to let me know right now. You will get the video recording there, Raja, automatically as soon as the video webinar ends. If you guys want to learn more about CCNP collaboration or Amazon AWS Connect, which is a Cisco IVR becoming very, very popular, we do those trainings as well. So if you have any questions regarding that, feel free to email me at fcon@voicebootcamp.com. All right. With that saying, thank you very much for everyone joining in, taking the time from all over the world. I appreciate that. Configure is but one number. It should be broadcast to a number. If you have any particular technical questions, Anwar, you feel free to email that to me at fcon@voicebootcamp.com. I will do my level best to give you solutions, and you're welcome to send me your questions to that. Yeah, I appreciate that. We don't send any PDF stuff like that of our slides, unfortunately. However, you will be able to get the video and you will have it for your record. You're welcome, Raja. Appreciate that for joining in. Again, guys, welcome. Thank you. That's all I can say. Have a good weekend. I will see you, some of you guys, on Saturday if you join that link. Again, that is a very useful to see. There's a lot of, Amazon is pushing a lot. So if, it doesn't hurt to get some knowledge on other side of the road as well. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend, folks. The link to that is right here. Again, I'm sharing. I'm sorry, Shaban, I didn't understand what do you mean register in the chat. Thank you there, Amin. URL to register. Yeah, this is the URL. You can register right there. You didn't get the URL in the chat? Let me check. There you go. Sorry about that. I'm still learning how to use Zoom properly. I migrated from WebEx, now moving to Zoom. All right, folks, have a good day. See you in the Saturday.